live, up close and personal, the Commish radio show. Wait, as you know, we normally do this show on Saturdays from 1 to 3 p.m. in the Gray Bowl. That's G-R-A-Y, but this time we're going to the Green Bowl because this time we have a special announcement to make because, as you know, we cover things for you. Cover things for you, the people in the DFW area in a social activist way, but we do it on time. We do it on time. So today we have, or during this show, we have Paula Rosales, who's running for judge in Dallas County. But before we have her come on the show, we have Miss Tina High. And she's here with us live, up close and personal, Commish radio show. And we also have her attorney Kim T. Cole. How you doing?
Hi.
Good.
How are you?
I'm doing fine. Well, we are here today because I understand, not the fact I understand, I saw a tragedy that occurred in my hometown of Grand Prairie, Texas, and I would like to say, but I also support justice. I support the blue if it's true. That's what I always say on my Twitter page when I'm consistently asking for justice in America. I'm consistently asking for justice and fairness all across the board. So, Tina, tell us who you are and what is happening.
My name is Tina Denise High, and I am Carlos Dion High Sr.'s wife. And my husband was killed April 23rd at 1:30 at the IKEA in Grand Prairie, and he was murdered by Grand Prairie police.
That's a strong word. You said murdered.
Yes, murdered.
Why would you say that?
Because my husband had a mental illness, and he did have a gun, but he never pulled the trigger, and they shot him over 30 times.
Over 30 times. Now, when I initially heard the police report, it indicated that your husband had pulled the gun out.
Yes, that's what we were told at first.
Okay, so that didn't happen at all?
No, it did not.
No one has came forward and said this?
Nope.
Okay, now I know you have your attorney there. I don't want to say too many things out of line. I'm familiar somewhat with attorney-client privilege and everything. Ms. Cole, you have anything to say regarding that?
Absolutely. Well, as you are aware, the chief of police, Chief Dye, came out and he gave a press conference. And in this press conference, he emphatically declared that Carlos pulled the gun out and shot at the officers. Not only pulled it out and pointed it, but he actually opened fire at the officers, and the officers, in the standard, language, feared for their safety and had no choice but to kill Carlos High. However, after the chief actually watched the video, apparently, he realized that wasn't the case. Carlos High never shot at the officers. The chief, instead of coming out like he did the first time and openly expressing that Carlos did not point his weapon at officers and did not fire his weapon at officers, he slid a brief little paragraph in an obscure paragraph at the bottom of a previous released report that basically stated that, upon further review, they weren't able to find any evidence that Carlos fired at the officers. And also the language was changed to where it no longer states that Carlos even pointed his gun at the officers. So, in light of all of that, the case has been referred to the Dallas County District Attorney's Office for possible criminal charges against the officers.
And this came from the Chief of Police of Grand Prairie?
Yes, this came from the Chief of Police.
Okay. Now, the Chief of Police of Grand Prairie, Steve Dye, and I will go ahead and just say this, he's been a very noble man in Grand Prairie. He's done a lot of good work in Grand Prairie. I've known him for quite some time. But however, when it comes to justice, we need to be fair all across the board. So obviously he saw something wrong, and he did what now?
He referred the case to the district attorney.
So
And-
you didn't refer to the.
Oh no, that requires much ado.
Okay.
Anytime the family or any outsider wants the case referred to for prosecution of officers, I'm sure you've seen all of the marches and protests. A lot of that goes on because the officers are not held accountable for their actions.
Okay.
And in this, Chief Dye did take the initiative and refer the case over to the district attorney's office because he obviously saw something in these videos that brought the justification for their use of force into question.
Okay. As we looked, and you showed me this. And it's difficult for me to even say this. I know it's very difficult for you to even be here to even talk about it.
It is.
You know, so I'm somewhat tongue-tied because you're right here. You know, it's one thing for people to go ahead and say on TV and radio and everything that this injustice has been done, but when you see the person's wife right here, the widow, right here, it's totally something different in itself.
Yes.
How are you holding up?
I am staying strong, but I do have my moments where I miss my husband. I really, really miss my husband, and I want him back, but I know I can't, but I won't stop until I get justice for him. I will not let this go. I will not let them get away with this.
There are a lot of variables in this as well. One of the things that you had stated before is that your husband had a mental illness
Yes,
as well.
he had bipolar schizophrenic.
Yeah, that's two serious illnesses.
Yes,
He had a
it
combination
is.
of both
of them at the same time.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, the police was called for a welfare check?
Yes, someone called claiming it was a man slumped over in their car. And why the ambulance didn't come, but the police came first. They claim it was negotiations. That didn't happen either. So I don't know really what happened. I have not a straight answer. I don't know what actually happened.
But what we do know is that a welfare check was made and...
Yeah, and it turned out deadly.
Pardon?
It turned out deadly. For them to go and for a welfare check, and it turned out deadly.
Normally when there's a welfare check, the person is in a sense of distress.
Yes.
And in a welfare check, you try to get that person from the level of distress to a smooth level. And this didn't happen.
No, it did not happen.
And Ed, we've seen that not just here, but in various cases, certainly locally in some of the areas in DFW, but across the country where people are called to assist a friend or family member who is having a mental health issue, and instead of being assisted, law enforcement shows up and uses deadly force to resolve the situation. This is a problem that needs to be addressed within law enforcement, and it's something. There's no reason that a call for help should end up with someone's loved one dead. That shouldn't happen. Not from a peace officer. Law enforcement they are licensed peace officers.
They're supposed to uphold the peace.
They are supposed to uphold the peace. And instead, under these circumstances, instead of upholding the peace, they not only fired over 30 shots at this man, and most of them headshots, mind you.
Yes.
But they not only fired all of these shots at him, killing him, but then they lied about it.
Yes.
And said he shot at them.
All right.
This shouldn't happen. And it shouldn't go without some type of consequences for these officers.
And I found out about my husband's death on the internet and then on the news because nobody informed me that they killed him. Nobody.
Okay. Now let me ask one other question, and I asked this of our producer over there. Are we still live on Facebook Live?
Yes, sir.
All right, because I see the double screen on that. So I would like to go ahead and have you put it where the comments from Facebook Live are showing up there. If anyone have any comments, they can go ahead. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. So you found out, thank you again. You found out through like what we're doing now?
Yes. Right? I went because I had a feeling because my husband called me for the last time at 9:19 in the morning and he was distressed, saying stuff. He hung up the phone and threw it away. I couldn't call him, went straight to voicemail. I waited and waited for him to come back, kept calling. Some said, go on the internet, look under Grand Prairie local news. First thing I went on there, first thing I see was IKEA, man killed at IKEA. I started reading. When I got to the part of the description of the car, I knew it was him. And then I turned around 2 minutes later and I see our car on the news shot up.
Did anyone
sitting in it.
Did anyone from, excuse me for interrupting, because this is upsetting to me as well, and I know it is to you. Has anyone from the city contacted you?
Let me tell you, Ed. So no one contacted her to provide her notice of her husband's status. She was contacted for information regarding Carlos. She's been contacted several times.
Mm-hmm.
Grand Prairie Police has contacted Mr. High's mother, who is quite distressed as well, looking for information. The language was, we know what happened on our end.
Mm-hmm.
We want to know what led up to this. And I told the detective, you tell me. We don't even know what happened on your end. They have given this family no answers. And while I haven't had any dealings with Chief Dye, but while I respect everybody indicates that Chief Dye is an upstanding, respectable chief, and that he's usually quite transparent. However, in this case, and how this case is being handled, he has not been transparent. He held a closed door meeting with select individuals in the community and gave them facts about this case that he will not disclose to the public and swore them to secrecy. You can't be transparent behind closed doors. You can't call that transparency. You call these people in there, respected people in the community, and then you swore them to secrecy. You made them swear that they wouldn't tell their congregation, they wouldn't tell their members in their organizations. That's not transparent. As a matter of fact, that's the polar opposite of transparent.
And a slap in the face.
It is. And then when he made the corrected statement, we were there in the lobby at the Grand Prairie Police Station, and instead of having anything to say to this family, because we showed up at the meeting that was for the select few, he would not let anyone from the family in.
Okay. And what's the next step on your end?
Well, certainly we will be filing a civil rights suit. This was, I don't know if you watched the video, this was overkill.
Yes, it was.
And certainly given the fact that Mr. High never pointed his weapon at officers. He never fired his weapon at officers.
And it was on safety.
And if he was guilty of unlawfully carrying a firearm, then he should have been arrested and taken to jail and given due process and had his day in court and allowed a judge or a jury to determine his sentence. Law enforcement, it is not their role in our legal system to be the judge or the jury or the executioner. Having a firearm, possessing a firearm without being properly licensed, or possessing a firearm after a former conviction is not a death penalty offense.
No,
and even if it is not law enforcement's role to carry out the death penalty. That's not their role.
Not in that way.
All right. So we'd like to thank you, ladies, for being on the show.
Thank you for having us.
I just
Ed.
wanted
Thank
to go
you.
ahead and have you on the show because it was brought to my attention that this happened in Grand Prairie where I happen to live at, and why don't I do something about something that happens here? So thank you again.
And I would like to encourage any concerned citizen in Grand Prairie, please come out to the city council meeting tomorrow night at 6:30.
Please, we need y'all.
We need the support of the community. The fact of the matter is some people don't get involved until it's their family. Don't wait until it's your loved one.
I don't want y'all to go through what I'm going through. I don't want nobody to go through what I'm going through right now.
All right. Thank you again. And
Thank
when
you.
we come back,
Thank you.
we will have Paula Rosales. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. God bless you.
Thank you, Ed.
No problem. Curtis.
Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Michael Moore, the poet. When I'm not writing my beautiful words of poetry, I'm tuned in with the Commish radio show on the Fishbowl Radio Network.